Okay, so my name is Alex. I'm 31, and before that Thanksgiving, I truly thought that just keeping my mouth shut was the key to a marriage that would last. Like if I just kept showing up, doing the chores, driving her mom around when nobody else would, remembering all the birthdays and anniversaries they'd forget, I'd finally get a place at the table. A real one, you know. Not just the chair, but like actually being respected, loved, and valued. I know that sounds dumb now, but when you're the one always trying to keep the peace in a crazy family, you learn to read the vibe before you even think about talking. You learn to laugh along even when they're making fun of you. The worst part? I tricked myself into thinking that being tolerated was the same as being loved. Thanksgiving was always her family's big deal. Her dad was the kind of guy who treated board meetings like a church service and expected everyone to laugh at his jokes. Her mom was all sugary sweetness when people were over, but ice cold when they weren't. And Lee, my wife, she could change into whoever the situation needed her to be. Around me, she was kind of cold and practical, but with them, she was this bright, funny social butterfly they all loved. I was just a supporting player in my own marriage, like a dumb lamp in the corner. And for a long time, I pretended that was fine. Or at least, that's what I told myself. We got to her folks' place that afternoon. The driveway was packed cousins, uncles, people I vaguely recognized from our wedding a couple years back. I was lugging the homemade pumpkin pie. Her mom wouldn't touch store-bought, and Lee was glued to her phone in the passenger seat, thumbs flying like she was conducting some major orchestra. "Grab the wine, too," she mumbled without even glancing up. I nodded, wedged the bottle in my arm, and trailed behind her up the steps feeling like a pack mule. Inside, it was a whirlwind of hugs and cheek kisses, some kid bawling over spilled juice and this weird mix of fancy perfume, holiday smells, and ambition, I guess. Her dad slapped me on the back. "Alex, still messing with those computers?" Haha, always a riot. I manage it for 3 hospitals, but if it's not stocks or mergers, it doesn't register with him. I just plastered on a smile and nodded, same as always. Dinner was around 4. The table could have seated a small army, and I was squeezed between her cousin Evan, who once asked me if skinny was my whole personality, and her Aunt Margaret, who interrogated you with every bite. Lee was across the table, laughing way too hard at stuff that wasn't even that funny, constantly checking in with her mom for a gold star like a kid wanting their drawing on the fridge. The food, it was good. Actually better than good. My mom was a great cook, I gotta give her that. For a little while, I fooled myself into thinking it was just another family get-together, you know? Just a few hours of pretending everything was fine before we all went home to our separate lives. But then, the talk turned to marriage. Her uncle started going on about his son's engagement, and someone said something about making sure you're really ready before you get hitched. Lee took a huge gulp of her drink, then another, and then she let it rip. She was actually smiling when she said it. Getting married to Alex, she said, was like settling for instant mashed potatoes, totally bland, cheap, and only good if nothing else is around. The room erupted. It wasn't just a little chuckle, it was this huge, uncontrollable wave of laughter. Her mom covered her mouth like she was shocked, but her eyes were shining. Her dad slammed his hand on the table. Even the little kid, who had no idea what was going on, started giggling because everyone else was. I didn't laugh. I didn't say a word. I just sat there, my hands in my lap, feeling like I'd swallowed a razor blade. Lee glanced at me for a second, then rolled her eyes. "Oh, relax," she said. "It's a joke." Her cousin Evan leaned in and whispered, "Is he always this quiet?" I got up quietly. I didn't cause a scene, didn't yell, didn't even ask her why. I just started clearing the plates. My hands were shaking, but I kept going. I took them to the kitchen, rinsed them, stacked them, dried them. I could still hear them talking behind me. "Go back to sports," I heard someone say. It was like I was being handed off. Lee didn't even glance up from whatever she was doing. I did all the dishes, and then we drove back to our place without a word. She tried to brush it off in the car. "You're seriously upset about a mashed potatoes joke?" she asked, eyes glued to her phone screen. "Seriously, you're so dramatic." I kept my mouth shut, and I think for the first time ever that silence actually freaked her out. The next morning, I threw a bag together and went to my condo in the city. I didn't leave anything behind, just grabbed the bare necessities. When she got back, she texted, "Where are you?" I didn't respond. A few hours later, she called. I let it go to voicemail. She left a message saying I was making a big deal out of nothing, that it was just a joke, and that I was making her look bad by acting like this. I erased it before it even finished. Over the next few days, her messages went from kinda irritated to totally confused to straight-up panicky. Her mom texted too. First, she yelled at me for leaving Lee during the holidays, then she begged me to just hear her out. I didn't answer. Then 2 weeks later, she showed up. It was late, maybe 10 p.m. I was chilling on the couch, reading. I heard the buzzer, so I looked at the camera. She was outside, crying, her mascara all over her face, hair a mess, banging on the intercom. "Alex, please, please just talk to me." She was on her knees. I didn't answer, and then my phone lit up. It was a text from her mom. "Please just let her explain." I stared at the message for a long time, then I typed back my reply. I told her instant potatoes don't reheat well, hit send, and that was that. I couldn't sleep a wink that night. It wasn't exactly sadness, not pure sadness anyway. More like my mind was stuck on overdrive. I just stared at the ceiling, replaying her voice in my head. It kept echoing around my empty apartment, bouncing off the walls like some lost, buzzing thing. She'd begged me to talk to her, over and over. But the sound that really stuck with me, the one I couldn't shake, wasn't her crying. It was the laughter, that high-pitched, carefree group laughter of all those people I waited on, cleaned up after, chauffeured around, and plastered a fake smile for. People who never really saw me. People I thought I had to impress by being helpful, non-threatening, easily overlooked. A couple days after that whole intercom thing, I changed the building code. Not that she even knew it, but I did it anyway. Then I called my lawyer. Not to start anything official, not yet. I just needed to know what I could do. I was strangely calm about the whole thing, so calm it kind of freaked me out. Because in the quiet of my place, I started realizing something Lee never saw coming. I wasn't grieving for her. I was grieving for the person I'd become in that marriage, the person I let myself be. I stopped answering her texts. No big explanations, no dramatic goodbyes. Just nothing. She tried different things, flowers sent to my work, voicemails choked with tears about missing us. Even her mom messaged me saying I was hurting Lee. "Hey, don't chuck a whole marriage over one stupid joke, okay?" I didn't answer, but I totally took a screenshot. I was making a file, like a secret stash, just in case things got worse and something in my gut told me they would. Then this letter shows up at my place. Handwritten, can you believe it? Her writing? Perfect, of course. She always bragged about her fancy handwriting. It was 5 pages long, all apologetic, that desperate but trying to be calm kind of apology. She said the joke was a bad idea, but that I was the one who acted like a kid storming out. She blamed her family, said they just didn't know how to show love, and I'd totally misunderstood their humor. She basically begged me to stop being mad and come home so we could forget the whole thing ever happened. I read it twice. Then I burned it. Seriously, I lit a match and tossed it in the sink. By week 3, Lee went from begging to trying to make deals. "I made them all apologize," she said in a voice message. "Even my dad." That's huge, I knew her dad, the guy who refused to apologize to a waiter he'd made cry at a steakhouse because, get this, it builds character. But I didn't care about their sudden guilt trip, not after all the silence, the teasing, the laughter that felt like someone scraping a knife across my skin. I took a few days off work, needed to clear my head. I went out to this little cabin, a place I used to go before I met Lee, back when being alone didn't feel so empty. I took a notebook with me. No internet, no calls, nothing but me, some coffee, and the peaceful sound of the woods. That's where it hit me. I remembered the place. Lee and her family, they had no clue. They never even asked. The thing is, I'm part owner of that lakeside place her cousin booked for his wedding. It was a little side hustle, me and a college buddy. He ran the show, I handled the tech stuff and got a share of the profits. It never mattered before, but suddenly it was like a bomb went off in my head. Lee's cousin, the one who mumbled, "Is he always this quiet?" had booked it 6 months earlier. Deposit down, rest due later. The wedding was set for late spring. I shot a text to my friend. "Hey, gotta pull something from the schedule. We can give that deposit back." He called right away. "Which event?" I gave him the date, the name. "You sure?" he asked. "Absolutely," I said. "Family drama can't be fixed." I didn't crack a smile until I hung up. That night, I walked for hours under the stars, letting the cold air bite my face until I felt something other than that burning anger. It wasn't all about revenge, not really. I just needed her family to see that the quiet guy they laughed at could also make things happen. They never saw it coming. When I got back, Lee had left a bag on my doorstep. Inside were some pictures of us, one of my socks she'd fished out from behind the dresser, and a note saying, "Let's start over." I grabbed it, tossed the sock in the hamper, and left the rest right there on the floor. Then the final nail in the coffin arrived. It was an email from her dad. It was a curt, cold message that went something like, "Alex, this has dragged on long enough. I don't know what kind of attention you're looking for, but real men don't leave their wives over some joke. Lee deserves better. Honestly, she should have married someone with some guts. You're making a fool of yourself." I just stared at it for ages. Eventually, I tapped out a brief response. "Thanks for confirming everything I already knew. I'll make sure Lee gets what she deserves." Then I hit send. I wasn't even sure what she deserves was yet, but I knew a second chance was out of the question. Not now, not when I'd finally found the courage to stop caring what they thought. After that email, I didn't hear anything back from them. Not immediately. For a few glorious days, there was silence. No more buzzing intercom, no texts begging me for closure. No more pleading letters trying to spin things as if it was some silly misunderstanding. It was just me, waking up in a bed that didn't reek of regret, drinking my coffee without checking my phone, existing in that kind of quiet that used to feel lonely but was now pure bliss. Then the hammer dropped. The first hint was a phone call that went straight to voicemail. It came through from Lee's cousin, him, the one who'd once wondered if I was always so reserved. He sure didn't sound that way now. His voice was all tense and shaky, no sign of his usual arrogance. "Hey man, I don't know what's up, but we just heard the venue's off. My mom's losing it. We already sent the invites. This has gotta be a mistake, right? I mean, you wouldn't do this isn't because, look, just call me, okay?" I didn't call. The next day, I got a message from Leah. No please forgive me whispers this time. Nope, this one had Klaus. "You actually canceled their wedding? That's insane. It's not just being a jerk, it's just spiteful. Do you even get how many people this messes with?" I just stared at her message, my thumb kind of frozen above the keys. Finally, I typed back, "Tell your cousin I'm sorry." Sometimes people stick with what they've got until something better comes along. Ring any bells? She didn't answer me back. 3 hours later, I got an email, this one from her mother. It started all stiff, like I was some delivery guy being talked down to at the school. Then it got all teary. She pulled out the guilt card. "We welcomed you into our family. We put up with your weirdness. We let you marry our daughter, and this is how you pay us back, by screwing up a wedding over some stupid joke. Grow up, Alex, be a man." There it was again. Be a man. That stupid line they always used like a chain to keep me quiet. But it didn't have any power over me anymore. I didn't write her back. Instead, I sent the email straight to my lawyer with a note. "Document this." At that point, it wasn't just about guarding my feelings. I was bracing myself for what was coming. I knew Lee and her family. They wouldn't just disappear. They'd come back, try to get even. Honestly, I think I wanted them to. Because the more they pressed, the more they showed who they really were. Then the cousin's fiancé called. I didn't even have her number saved, but I recognized the area code and let it go to voicemail. Her message was a mess, practically bawling. "Alex, please. I don't even like Lee that much, okay?" I didn't crack a smile. I tried to say something, but her mom shot me a look and, never mind. Basically, we already paid for the flowers and catering. Can't you just be the bigger person? You're messing up my wedding over something I didn't even do. That one almost got to me. Almost. Because she wasn't the bad guy, but she was involved. And the main thing was, if things were flipped, none of them would have ever stepped up for me. Not a single one. So I just left the message. Then I erased it. A week later, Lee showed up. In person. I was coming back from the store, arms full of groceries, headphones in, lost in an old podcast, when I saw her standing by the building's entrance. No makeup, hair down, coat half on like she'd just thrown it on. She looked exhausted, like she wasn't sleeping. Honestly, a part of me still kind of recoiled seeing her, but I kept going. "Alex, hey, can we just talk? Just 5 minutes?" I didn't answer, just headed for the elevator, jabbing the button with my elbow. She trailed after me. "You don't have to forgive me," she choked out. I need to tell you what happened." That whole thing, it wasn't supposed to come out like that. I'd had a few and, God, I was just trying to be funny. I swear I didn't mean it. The elevator doors opened up. I got inside. She didn't come in. She just stood there, lip quivering, staring at me like she was waiting for something that wasn't going to happen. "I miss you," she whispered. I looked at her, really looked at her for the first time since that night, and quietly said, "No. You miss the me that let that kind of stuff slide." Then I hit the button and watched the doors close. That night I blocked her number. The cousin's wedding got moved, finally, to a little community center a couple towns over. They called it a choice, more casual, more personal, but I heard from friends that half the people didn't even bother showing up. Apparently, the cousin's fiancé lost it during the ceremony. The pictures looked so awkward, so fake, not a happy ending at all. As for me, I started seeing a therapist, not because of the joke itself, but because of how long I let myself think I deserved that kind of treatment. I started working out again, running. The mornings were spent catching up with friends from the wedding, the ones who had seen how Lee spoke to me. They all thought I was cool with it. Newsflash, I wasn't, not anymore. What felt really good was that I didn't have to make a scene, didn't need to cause drama. I simply walked away, silent, complete, and watched them figure out how lonely it was without the guy they thought they could always make fun of. But that wasn't quite the finale, because a month later something showed up in the mail. A bulky envelope with no sender's info. Divorce papers. When I saw it, I just stood there in the doorway, keys still in the locked grocery bag on the floor. It was thick, too thick to be nothing, and the missing return address told me the whole story. She wanted a clean break, quiet, done. After all the tears, the texts, the pleading on the intercom, she folded first. I didn't feel like a winner, not right off the bat. I brought the envelope to the table like it was dangerous, sat down, and opened it. Inside were the papers, clean, crisp, and cold. Her signature was there in the last box, perfect, still with that put-together look she loved so much. There was a short typed note from her lawyer, standard stuff, amicable dissolution. No fault, property and finances to be sorted out later. No personal message, nothing. It was just that one word, divorce, sitting right there at the top of the COVID-19 court page. I just stared, my name beside hers. We'd started out with all those vows and rings and fake smiles, you know? Now it was all falling apart with a few keystrokes. I let out this huge breath. I didn't even realize I'd been holding it since Thanksgiving. Right then, in the quiet of my kitchen, it hit me. It wasn't sadness or anger, nothing like that. It was relief, complete, total relief. And it wasn't just because it was over, but because she had ended it. She finally took responsibility, something I never thought she'd do. She didn't fight it, didn't drag things out. She'd done all the begging, all the guilt tripping, the whole 9 yards. And when it didn't work, she just walked away, clean, like it never even happened. So I signed the papers. No drama, no big ceremony. I put them in a new envelope, slapped a stamp on it, and mailed them the next day. I didn't tell a soul, not my coworkers, not even our few mutual friends. It wasn't some big thing for me, just a full stop. A period at the end of a really long sentence. I should have put the pen down 2 years earlier. That was the end of Lee, but the mess didn't end there. Her cousin, of all people, posted some weird cryptic thing on Instagram. Some folks think keeping quiet makes you strong. I think it's just plain cowardice with fancy marketing. That actually made me laugh. A real, honest-to-God laugh. So he put up a picture of his wife at a do-over dinner. She was sitting there looking like a statue behind a cake that said, "Here's to new beginnings," all rustic and themed. It looked like a Pinterest project that just stopped, and I didn't feel a thing. No anger, no being petty, just second-hand cringe for how hard they were still trying to act perfect for an audience that had already tuned out. Lee didn't post anything, not right away. Then, like a month later, she put up a picture of herself on a beach looking out at the ocean. The caption said, "Sometimes the storm you're running from is inside you." All the comments were, "You got this, girl, and so proud of you for healing." I didn't comment, I didn't even crack a smile because I knew the real deal. The actual storm wasn't inside her, it was me finally waking up. A few weeks after that, I got a call from a number I didn't know. I let it go to voicemail like always. But then I got curious and listened. It was her mom. Her voice was short, almost exhausted. "Alex, I know you don't want to hear from me and I won't call again. I want you to know we got your message loud and clear. You were never just anyone, not to us. Maybe we didn't say it enough or at all, but you mattered. We just didn't know how to show it. I hope you're okay. I hope you find someone who makes you feel like more than just a background character. And I hope Lee learns from this. I really do." That one really got to me. It wasn't because I let it go. Nope, I wouldn't. But hearing those words, "you mattered," after all that, from someone who treated me like I was invisible, it felt like I was finally getting out of some prison I didn't realize I was locked in. I didn't call her back. Didn't have to. You don't get fixed with a sobbing apology or a voicemail confession. It's when you just don't need them anymore. A year later, I was done with therapy, not because I suddenly figured everything out, but because I'd gotten what I needed. It was like a mirror for all the parts of me that kept saying, "Stay, endure, hide your hurt, and smile." I just stopped listening to that voice. I started rebuilding quietly. I redecorated my place. New paint, new furniture, nothing that screamed her. I got rid of every wedding present, every monogrammed towel, every picture where I was grinning, but you could see me fading away. I started dating again, slowly, carefully. Then something weird happened. One night I met this girl. Her name was Sarah. She worked with kids, taught them coding on the weekends, and she never made me feel like I had to measure up to be with her. We got coffee, then lunch. Then she asked to see the cabin where I used to go to get away, and I said sure. She didn't make fun of my quiet side. She just leaned into it. And when I told her the mashed potatoes story, half joking, half to see what she'd do, she didn't freak out or try to defend Lee. She just blinked, took a bite of her sandwich, and said, "You deserve a whole meal of respect, not fast food." I didn't cry, but man, I wanted to. It wasn't that the pain still lingered, it was the opposite, it was finally gone. The official divorce papers arrived a couple of weeks after that. Just a simple white envelope, no fuss, no bitter feelings. I tossed it in a drawer. Then I made myself a drink, sat out on my balcony, the city lights shimmering down below, and something hit me. I wasn't mad anymore. Not at Lee, not her family, and not even a little bit at myself. I was free, not just on paper, I mean really, truly free. And you know what? I figured out freedom isn't about running away. It's about knowing you never have to go back.